Hi there, we're here. I'm Haggard, this is Carissa, and we are here to present to you the Upload a Test, our newest tool from VitaminLab to help you formulate personalized formulas for your patients. As mentioned, we're both the account managers here in VitaminLab. I'm a naturopath. I'm here to support you with formulations, portal features, any kind of ingredient questions. And here's Carissa.
Hi, so nice to meet you all. And I, again, am one of the other account managers here at VitaminLab. So here to help with formulation support, portal education, etc. So we're going to dive into Upload a Test today to answer some of your most pressing questions. Okay, so just to kind of roadmap out what we're going to talk about today, we'll start off with our most common question about Upload a Test, which is which tests work with Upload a Test. So we're going to cover which tests are compatible, and then, of course, in contrast to that, what tests aren't currently compatible. Then we're also going to talk about our second most common question, which is what micronutrients are included. What other things are included on this test that I can have formulated from the future. And then we will cover how it works. So we're going to talk about not only how the actual function works, how in your portal you can utilize this feature, but also how we've built it. What is kind of the logic and the factors that it takes into account to create the formula. And then lastly, we want to show you two examples of how to formulate. So we're going to grab two of the same test results with two different patient case studies, and we're going to show you how that works in practice, how you can use this as a starting place and then formulate on top of those test results.
All right, so what tests does Upload a Test support? At the moment, we can support any kind of a micronutrient test. So the micronutrients, right, the vitamins, minerals that our body needs that in small amounts, but plays a big role in our health, in our well-being. Some of the main ones that we can accommodate or we can utilize this tool with is LabCorp, Vibrant America, Quest, BioReference, Northwell, and ECL.
Awesome. And so currently we have some tests that aren't covered. So it is specific to micronutrients. So for example, hormones, GI maps, DNA tests, hair analysis, those are all not covered at this time. So these are all the type of tests that require deeper clinical insights. So our practitioner needs to interpret the results as they don't directly translate into like a micronutrient recommendation. So because of this, we can't utilize test results from things like a Dutch test or an oat test or a GI map at the moment, but we are always working on expanding this feature and making it more useful. So more to come.
So what isn't included? You can think of Upload a Test as really kind of a way to create a personalized multivitamin, multimineral, right? So the multis that you will get off of any other company on the market they usually won't include things to address hormone health. They won't include things to detoxify heavy metals, right? So this is a kind of a equivalent to that. The main difference here that this is very highly tailored to that specific patient needs and deficiencies. And so it really designed to support the deficiencies and optimize the micronutrient status. The next one coming up, we're always working on on increasing this and building this up. The next one thing that will be introduced to this is a fatty acid panel. So for those tests that check the status of different omegas, that will be added. So hopefully really soon.
Awesome. Okay, so next we're going to talk about the variables taken into account with the test. So as you may have seen, if you've tried uploading a test, if you'll see on your report, they should often have the patient's age and sex on the report. We need those variables. So there are variables that we do take into account with our algorithm to create the formula. So just making sure that any test that you are uploading does have that listed on the report. And then, of course, micronutrient status are the other variables, very obviously. The other really common question we have is, how is this formula calculated? And with that, a lot of questions about, is this AI? So the answer is no, it is not AI. It's based on an algorithm, essentially. So it follows clinical rule sets and guidelines. These are all based on medical experts, research, really high consensus peer-reviewed research, to essentially have sort of like logic and math that creates this through an algorithm. So not AI, but very rigorous.
So sample types, as we know, different micronutrients tests available today would test things either in the serum, or a whole blood test, or RBC if it's just your regular CBC testing. All of those can be uploaded to upload a test. However, some of this will give more of a true picture of the amount of nutrients in the cellular level versus the nutrients that circulate in the bloodstream. And so you can upload more than one test, and we will use the best test that was uploaded to calculate the need for the specific nutrients. So for example, whole blood, there are different nutrients and the serum levels can be misleading or a bit too much, or depending on recent intake, right? So if you just took your B complex the morning you did the blood work, those will come up as a higher amount, whereas other nutrients like B1 and B2 tend to be much more stable, and the whole blood test will give a very good indication of the amount that person has, and then therefore what is needed to be compensated for. We can talk about, when we talk about serum or plasma, these nutrients, they test in a most reliable way for consistent dosing, but some of the preferred nutrients that would work well with that will be vitamin A, zinc, these kind of things. Whereas intracellular or the RBC, so the long-term status, will give us really good picture for ingredients such as magnesiums, for example.
Okay, so next I want to talk a little bit about sort of what is our approach. We've built this algorithm with Upload a Test. What is our philosophy behind the way that we've built it? And so the main thing behind how we built it is based on sort of functional dosing. So we have really, everything we've built is anchored in very high consensus peer-reviewed research from organizations like, the NIH, Institute of Medicine, the WHO. So it's always evidence-based first and foremost. And then we strive to go beyond deficiency. So our system is going to look at both borderline and insufficiency. We're all familiar with the story of a patient who goes to their regular GP, they bring their labs, they're not feeling good, and doctor says, yeah, everything looks normal. And so that's really, in these parameters of what is normal is very far from what is thriving, what feels good. So we don't want to just feel sort of the average. We want to dose your patient to essentially that 70 to 80th percentile is what we shoot for when we're dosing. So it'll even capture those patients that are sort of like on the border. Otherwise, we utilize special guidelines when it comes to RDAs. So there are certain instances where the general RDAs are a bit insufficient. So we've looked at the research to make sure that we're, again, dosing for functional dosing rather than just to hit those sort of normal parameters. And then lastly is practitioner autonomy. So with Upload a Test, you'll essentially upload your patient's lab results. That'll create a formula that'll be available in your formulas tab. We want to highlight that this is a great starting place. This is a great way to save you time to get the formula started, but it's by no means a finalized formula. This is a place where the practitioner can now come in and from your expertise, change the form of vitamin B or change the form of vitamin K, or choose that maybe a different ingredient is what your patient needs, increase, decrease the dosage, as well as perhaps adding in different ways to support your patient's goals or symptoms, etc. So that's one of the things that we'll go into at the end when we look at those two case studies.
Yeah, so let's go dive in a bit deeper into like just how it works. What do you actually do to make this happen? So the first step is to upload the test as a PDF. Make sure the file includes the necessary information that Carissa mentioned before: age, sex, location. These will be taken into account when generating a result, as we all know, right? 60-year-old man and a 30-year-old woman would not have the same guidelines as to what would be an 70th to 80th percentile of different micronutrients. And so that's where this one is key factor. And then the results will target the optimal and not just in range, as Carissa mentioned. And this is the starting point to create that specific person's formula and addressing maybe other things that they're taking, as well as some of the reason that they came to see you, right? So ways to optimize what it is that they want to achieve in terms of health goals. So adjust based on on your insights and how you know your patients, and then consolidate the patient's existing supplement routine into the formula, which is one of the things we always emphasize on in meetings and meetings with practitioners, because if you are taking the right amount of vitamin D for your patient is taking the right amount of vitamin D for themselves, and then they go get tested, vitamin D won't come up as deficient. However, it is because they are taking it and they are addressing that need. And so it's important to add those in when you formulate in their VitaminLab formula to account for that and to just reduce the amount of different capsules and different supplements that they take per day. And then the last step here is to support the symptoms and their health goals with using protocols, with switching the types of nutrients, as Carissa mentioned, or adding any other specific ingredients that you see fit for that patient.
Awesome. Thanks, Sagar. So next, we'll into the portal and show you what this looks like in real time. It is, I'm just going to switch my screen here. Okay.
There you go. So this is the on the left sidebar there. You will see the upload a test. You click it. This is the screen that you will see, and then you'll just click the upload a test. That blue button in the middle of the screen, and that's really all you need to do here is just to drag and drop the PDF file or click to select if it's saved on your computer or whichever one. And that's about it. And that's it. Upload is successful, and it will take you back into VitaminLab, into your regular portal. Mind you, this does take about 24 hours to generate the formula. But here we will have, and then after about 24 hours, you will come into your formulas tab. And this is where you will find this formula. So the formula name will always be the patient's name first, and then the type of test. So this would be micronutrient. We have added the 59-year-old men. That's for us for this webinar right now. But that's the title that you can expect to see is your patient's name plus the type of test that you will see there. All right, so for our first guy here, Jesse Davis, 59 years old. Oh, I didn't think that the presenting went away, Carissa.
Yeah, just switching screens there.
Oh, perfect. Sounds good. So we have a 59-year-old man. He has hypertension, high cholesterol. You know, we all know that patient with a beer belly. Oh, thank you. And he doesn't sleep at night. That's his main concern here. He's taking melatonin, but it's not helping as much as he wants it to help. And he's on statins, but he really wants to get off of them because of muscle pain that he gets, which we know is very common. So how would we address this kind of a patient in VitaminLab after adding his blood work through the uploaded test tool? So you can see that it created a base formula for him that really covers all of his needs, all of his immediate needs, and everything that he's deficient in. And then as we scroll down with under the option orders, You will see the nutrients. And from here, you can kind of decide if there's anything that you would want to change. So, for example, I'm looking at this vitamin D, and I think that 1,000 IU or 25 microgram of vitamin D is a bit low. So I will boost that up for him. So let's do 75, so 3,000 IU per day. There we go. And then maybe I have talked to him in the clinic and he have sworn that he's gonna eat more salads so we can maybe reduce his vitamin C, the amount of the vitamin C there. And then so we can reduce it to, let's say, 250.
Great. That'll help with reducing capsule count a little bit for him.
Exactly, just this because we're gonna add some more stuff and we don't want him to take gazillion pills a day. And so let's address some of his concerns. So first of all, his muscle pain, which really will be very bothersome. So let's add some CoQ10 to support that. And I would add, let's do 150 for this guy. And since we know he wants to get off of the statins, but we have to address cholesterol. Then one of the ones that I like to use here is in our protocols, we have a really nice protocol for lipids, for blood lipids. You can just, there we go. Oh, yeah. There we go, the vitamin lipid support. So you'll see the red yeast rice, which will give you not statin, but works on the same mechanism, polycosanol, and then, oh, here's our CoQ10. Fantastic. So we can utilize this one, add this one in, and
So
remove the remove the CoQ10 that we've added, since I don't need that twice. And from here, I will support with some omega-3. We have talked about it multiple times, but our awesome Avail omega-3 is really highly concentrated. So I love using that. And we will do the high EPA. That's a great one to do. And the 300 milligram is great because it's a free fatty acid. And I know that so much of it will end up in his blood and will support him. And then lastly, let's add, so this is his day formula, or this is his formula for this kind of a situation to address his the cholesterol and and getting off of statins and his muscle pains. But let's add a secondary formula for him for nighttime. So what we'll do here is that we'll basically save this formula. This one is saved for Jesse. And we could either copy it if we want to split the sum of the nutrients between those two formulas. So here, for example, we can do copy. It will generate a formula that will have the exact same name with the word copy in it. And here we will just change it to say, I like to do an AM and a PM. So Jesse Davis PM formula. Go. And then here, I'll make sure to take out all the ingredients that are stimulating for him. And I'll just leave the ingredients that are fine for taking for the night. So for example, calcium is fine to take at night. Chromium, I would rather him take during the day because I want to get that blood sugar effect, right? That kind of thing. Copper can stay. Choline we'll take out. We'll leave it in his day formula, as well as folate. Magnesium and molybdenum, these are actually fine. Iodine, we'll keep it in his day formula. So we'll remove it from the PM formula. Selenium can stay. We can take the B vitamins. So all the B vitamins can go in his day formula for the energy boosting. Perfect. Right. And his vitamin C as well. You can take that one out to Carissa.
Great.
Amazing.
Okay.
Yeah. And so basically from this point, you can thank you. And now we will add some ingredients to support his sleep. So I personally don't like to give high dosages of melatonin, not when they immediately go to sleep. It has a very short half-life. It won't keep him sleeping throughout the night necessarily. And I would rather try to support his own natural melatonin production, and instead of giving him melatonin as is. And so one of the protocols that I like, we have a few sleep protocols. One of the ones that I like is called sleep onset. There we go. So it has chamomile, GABA, L-theanine, lemon balm, magnesium, which he already has, so we'll take that out, and then the phosphatidylserine. So this is a great formula to help reduce cortisol in the brain and keep him sleeping throughout the night. Yeah, and here in that little pen and paper, I hope you guys know that, but in that little pen and paper, you can edit the protocol within this patient's formula. And so we can remove the magnesium. There we go. And click apply, and it will remove it for this patient, but it won't remove it from the protocol, which means that the next time you'll use that protocol, it will have the magnesium in it. And then lastly, the one thing that I would want to add for him between his beer belly and stress and all of that, and to support his sleep is the sensorial ashwagandha. So that would be the last one there. Yeah, and 125 is just fine. Thank you. There we go. So this is his night formula.
Yep.
Right. There we go.
And then
in the formulas, exactly. And then in the formulas tab, we will see his day formula. So we'll go into that one. Click edit, and we'll call it AM. So he'll know that this one is his morning formula. And we can remove everything that we have that we left for him in his night formula. So here we'll leave all the energetic ingredients, right? The CoQ10, the B vitamins, but we'll remove the minerals that we have left in his night formula. We'll keep things like iodine. We'll keep the all those cholines and all of these things that we have removed from the other one, and the rest can stay. And so that's where you end up with a good two balanced formulas, one that will be for the nighttime, one that is for daytime, and will give him a whole body support, both for his health goals and his conditions and getting off of his medication.
Awesome.
Does anybody have any questions about this one before we switch to another case study? I'll go to the chat. No. Perfect. If you do, please feel free to write to us in the chat, and we'll monitor it and answer any questions that come up.
Great. All right, so this second case study, another Jessie Davis. This time she is a 26-year-old female, a very avid athlete who is experiencing secondary amenorrhea along with PCOS. So she has lost her periods. Could be due to the fact that she is, a high-intensity athlete, but we're thinking, let's support the PCOS first as that first layer. And then she's also mentioned she's feeling unfocused in her workouts and really slow to recover. So she's feeling a bit drained. And then as well, she is taking some probiotics and some vitamin D on the side as well. Okay, so just going to come back here into the portal. So this is her formula here that would have been uploaded after uploading it from Upload a Test. And in this case, because it is the same blood work, we see the same nutrients here. And so I want to show with this one, it's going to be a little bit more simple. We don't need to split this one into an AM and a PM formula, just to show that Upload a Test can also, you can take it as deep as you want to. So for example, for Jessie Davis, in this case, we are going to start off by supporting her PCOS. We've got a lovely protocol here called VitaminLab PCOS support. Has your myo-inositol, some chromium, NAC, and berberine. So we're going to add this into her protocol. And then because, it's all about personalization, I am going to look at what happens to our capsule count if we increase that myo-inositol just a little bit for extra support. So let's just see. So previous to adding that protocol, she was at 3 capsules. If we add that in, she's now at 7 capsules. So you know what? On second thought, we're gonna just try meeting somewhere in the middle. Always good to check that capsule count. And, I encourage, if you want to have a conversation with your patients are different. For some people, 3 capsules feels like a lot. For some, they don't mind taking a higher amount of capsules. In this case, she's actually an athlete. She's really used to taking her supplements, taking capsules, and she doesn't have too many troubles with it. But having that conversation and knowing that we can always look at, for example, switching it to a powder. If, for example, there's something like inositol that we want to dose quite high, we can always change that to a powder formula, and maybe that'll be better tolerated. Okay, and then otherwise, she also mentioned she was really feeling unfocused in her workouts and having a hard time recovering. So I'm thinking adding in some rhodiola will be a great support. It's a beautiful adaptogen that has an affinity for creating focus during workouts. So it's really cool that it just really targets exactly what she's looking for. And it's also going to, through its adaptogen properties, help her to bounce back after those stressful workouts that she's experiencing. So we'll add some of that in. And otherwise, she mentioned she was taking vitamin D and probiotics. So I'm just going to, first off, see where her vitamin D levels are at in this formula. So she, again, similar to how we formulated the first case study, she was recommended 25 micrograms, and that's actually the same dosage that she was taking previously. So we're going to leave that as is. And then we're going to add in some probiotics for her. We have a probiotic protocol here, probiotic support. And so we're going to add in that just for some daily maintenance for her. Great. And yeah, again, just opening the floor if anyone has any questions about that case study. Yeah, or Hagar, if you have any additions you want to add.
I think this is great. From my personal experience in the clinic, 7 capsules, this odd number tends to be hard for people to remember or to take. And so I tend to like to do even numbers and then split it to twice a day. For this Jessie, for example, this is where I would look into adding back that myoinositol, bumping it back to 2,000, so to 2 grams a day. And then when you do, we'll get an even number, should get an even number. Ooh, not even.
And yeah, inositol could be dosed higher for PCOS.
Yeah,
so
easily.
See what happens if we add, let's say 2,500. Whoa, it's a little too many zeros.
Exactly.
Okay. Let's see. So now she's at a nice even 8.
Exactly. And then if you scroll up a little bit, we can tell her to take 4 twice a day. So this is our new feature for the dosing instruction and notes. And this is where it's really easy to kind of indicate for people how to take their supplements. So twice a day with food. This green box at the bottom will tell you exactly how much she is. Oh, she's at powder. That's why we're seeing it this way.
Just 2 capsules. There we go.
There we go.
Oh,
And so a total of, it went back to 7. I don't know. It should be 8. But take a total of 8 capsules daily and divide the doses twice a day and take with food. And so as long as this one match, that's fine. If there are any notes that you need to tell us as for production for VitaminLab, you will write it under the notes to VitaminLab. But if you have any additional instructions for the patient and you'll write it in this box, that would actually appear on the label under the directions of how to take. There we go. Take with breakfast and lunch. Not at dinner. Perfect. And we can see in this green box that it updated and included Carissa's note for her patients. So a really great, nice tool that was just launched not too long ago.
Awesome. Okay. So lastly, we can just open up the floor if anyone has any questions about how uploaded test works, how to formulate with them. Now is the time. So we have a question here. Can they add their powder supplements to a smoothie or beet with water? Thanks, Mercedes. Yeah, absolutely. Because there is with your powders you have a choice between adding unflavored and flavored. The flavored is a natural berry flavor. So what I recommend is talking to your patients about, what best suits their lifestyle. If they have a smoothie every morning, sometimes unflavored is a better option because they can just put it into their smoothie, and let's say it's chocolate banana, they probably don't want a natural berry flavor in there. So just keeping it unflavored. If they're the type of patient who's just going to, put it in their water and take it on the go, then maybe adding in that natural berry flavor is a good option. Any other questions? You can just pop them into the chat if you have any. If flavor, are you using any sugars or alternatives to sugars?
Yes, this one is sweetened with stevia. So it does have that stevia sweetness to it. So if your patient doesn't like stevia, please use the unflavored option. If they do or they don't mind stevia at all, then the berry flavor is really, really nice. It's really up to you guys. We'll just show that if you go, of course, if you'll pop the portal back again, that if there are ingredients in that formula with those red asterisks, then that indicates an unpleasant flavor, and we really, really highly recommend to not put it in a powder form. These are ingredients that are hard to mask. The other thing to remember about flavor, about powders, is that the more ingredients that are in that powder, the more complex that flavor will be. And so it might be harder to mask, even if you are very diligent about not adding any ingredients that have those red asterisks. So for example, myo-inositol with a bit of chromium will be an easier powder to hide into smoothies and such, versus the same one if you added some minerals and all the B vitamins and these kind of things, because just from the amount of different ingredients, you will get more different layers of flavors, which, depending how flavor sensitive your patient is, could be hard to hide. The other thing is that some of these ingredients can be a bit more grainy. The fact that you can mix them into water doesn't mean that they dissolve in water. And so we do recommend more to blend it into smoothies versus just like water or juice, because there is a chance that not all of them will dissolve. And so you get a bit of that grainy texture in your mouth. And so again, depending on the patient, how sensitive they are, if they will, drink anything but they cannot swallow pills, then go right ahead and create a powdered formula. But if they are more sensitive to textures or flavors, powder might not be the way to go.
Yeah. And that's something you can always, reach out to your account manager, Hagar, or myself, and we're happy to, if you have a formula you're working on for a patient, and you're looking for, maybe they want berberine in their formula, for example. Berberine is one of the ones that you just absolutely cannot add to a powder formula. It is horrendous. And so feel free to reach out to your account manager. We can help you come up with some options, whether that is recommending capsules, coming up with an alternative ingredient that's a good fit, etc.
As you can see, as Carissa opened here on the portal,
Sorry.
No worries. As you can see on the portal, you can, once you switch to powdered formula, it will tell you the ingredients of the of what's in the flavoring. So here's the dose types. She switched it. Oh my goodness. Switched it to powder, and here are the non-medicinal ingredients. Here's the ingredients for the natural berry flavor. So if this powder is unflavored, all they will use is inulin in order to round up the scoop. Our scoop size is 5 grams. And so if the formula is 4.8 grams, they will add 200 milligrams of inulin to round it up to 1 scoop, or to a scoop and a half, depending on how much powder is in that formula. If you add the natural berry flavors, here are the ingredients right there in the bottom, and you can make sure that your patients are is okay with these different ingredients. Yeah.
Any
other
questions? Can we also upload Quest or LabCorp results? Yeah, we can. Just head back to, let me find the right page. Here we go. So yeah, these are the tests types that are supported. So LabCorp and Quest are two of the supported types, as well as Vibrant, Empire City Labs, Northwell Health, and BioReference. Awesome. Thank you for the questions. Any other questions we can help answer?
All right. Well, we'll wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And if you have any other questions or need any kind of support with Upload a Test, we are here for you. We're here to work with you on that. And this is a brand new tool. We would love to hear your feedback if you have any feedback for that, as we are developing it and growing it and adding more ingredients and support for that one.
We do have one last question actually just popped up. Thank you. So what about the cell science test results? Great question. So we do have its own integration with cell science systems. So if you get those test results, you can request the VitaminLab recommendations, and it will create its own formula through a separate integration. So if you have questions about how that works, feel free to reach out to your account manager and we can make sure you're set up with that.
Our integration with cell sciences is actually a really good and solid and supported integration, which means that as soon as you click that order now VitaminLab on the cell sciences test result, on the CSA test result, it will generate the formula immediately. So there is no 24-hour wait period, and it is exactly according to the to CSS rule set with the dosage of the different ingredients depending on their deficiencies or borderline. So it's a fantastic integration, highly recommended to use. And if you need any support with that, I'm absolutely here for you.
We have another couple questions. Okay, I usually order cell science via Rupa. Does that make a difference?
I think you should still have the option for a VitaminLab one, but if you don't, please let me know and let's see how we can work around that. I think that should still be available for you to open.
Yeah, I think I've had, I could be wrong on this, but I think someone had a similar scenario where they just reached out to cell science systems directly after having the result, and they were able to add those results. So don't quote me on that for sure, but I think there is a way to work with that. Yeah, and then the other question, will it separate the supplement that compete with each other?
Oh, good question. It won't separate ingredients that compete with each other. So if you're looking to, give your patient iron and zinc that compete on the same absorption site, it won't do it. It won't separate it on its own. This is where practitioner discretion is advised in that sense. As we know from multis and honestly also with food, ingredients do come together. But if there is a clear indication of why you would want to give an advantage to one ingredient over the rest, for example, iron, if they're anemic, then it won't separate them. You'll have to go in and separate it. So either give the iron on its own, separated from the VitaminLab formula, or if that is if they only have zinc and iron as part of the minerals in that formula, I will remove the zinc and will maybe even support it just through diet. They're really great and easy zinc food sources that you can do. And so reduce the competition basically for the iron in terms of absorption.
Yeah, great question. And good to think about compliance too, is making your patient's life simpler with having it in an all-in-one going to increase their levels more than making it more complicated, where now there's too many things going on and they're not actually sticking to any of their plans. So really looking at your patient's unique situation and what works best for them. But like we showed the AM and PM formula, that's a great opportunity to keep both in, but create two separate formulas for them. Yeah. Perfect. All right. Any last questions before we sign off? It's been great, telling you all about Upload a Test. We're really excited about this new feature. So yeah, please feel free to reach out if you do have more questions. Otherwise, it's been great speaking with you all.
Have a good evening.
Bye.